Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I've got another quick gameplay for you against Boogeyman this time. Played this opponent a few times in the past, always advertised an anything goes game, which you know I am always game for. Alright, well, if you couldn't tell by the title, I'm playing Meren of Clan Nel Toth, and I keep a iffy hand here. So, Boogeyman is playing the Yidris Maelstrom Wielder deck, which from the times that I've gotten to see his hand with this effect and what he uses over the course of the game, I think it's a value cascade. I do not believe it is Storm, but I've been wrong before. I know it's rare, but alright. So I'm playing Meren of Clan Nel Toth, and I keep an iffy opening hand. So I have a hand hate in the form of Sadistic Hypnotist. I have Ramp from Wood Elves. I have the Dryad Arbor in my hand, but I could lead a turn where I Sadistic Hypnotist and Dryad Arbor for the 5 mana twist them for 4 type effect, or make them discard 4. So it's a little iffy. I decided to keep it because I am on the play. I think on the draw I might have shipped this hand back. It just doesn't do enough fast enough. That said, because Yidris is 4 color required, the strength of opening Sol Ring or Mana Crypt is severely lessened unless they have a color filter artifact like a Signet to feed that into to get Yidris down faster. So I feel pretty safe. Keeping a little bit slower but steady hand. I do have 5 mana sources in this hand if I land the Wood Elves, so I should be able to develop into a very strong game. I make a major misplay this game also, which you'll see later on. Just good luck, have fun, since we both play fairly strong decks when Lobbyist advertises anything goes. So I'm going to lead Overgrown Tomb. My opponent, Badlands off the top, or off the first turn. Nothing to play though. Pick up Yogg-Will. That's going to be very useful. Love Yogg-Will. And I have a fetch to be able to rebuy with the Yawgmoth's Will as well. Down the road. Tropical Island and nothing for my opponent. So definitely going to be a turn 4 Yidris, thankfully. Short of Lotus Petal on turn 3. Marsh Flats, another fetch. So I'm going to crack 2. And I decide this turn, because I don't see blue open, I could go Wood Elves and then do nothing with the mana. I decide I want to put Birthing Pod down this turn because there's no chance of it getting mana drained right now. So now it's a turn that I want to resolve Birthing Pod. You see I tap triple black there. It's a pain in the butt when you click Birthing Pod to pay and you have green in your pool and you start clicking your mana, and it uses the green as default for the Phyrexian green instead of the life. So instead of the generics. So I'd always tap for triple black when I use the Birthing Pod. If I'm going to pay a life for it, that is. Like in that situation. Just F2, my opponent's turn. Or F6. Sorry, I rebound all my keys to the buttons on my mouse. So now it's like 1, 2. Yeah. So there you go. Alright. And yet, still, this button does not work. Where's auto mana? I don't know. Pass until respond. Yeah, I turned that off so I don't toggle it. Yeah, auto mana still doesn't work for some reason. Yeah, that does not work. So maybe that'll get fixed. I pick up exactly what I needed there, actually, the Elvish Mystic. So because my opponent played Arid Mesa, I could go Wood Elves, get a land, and then play a land, then play the Elvish Mystic, pod Elvish Mystic. I run into every counterspell in the game and Daze at that point, so I'm actually going to decide not to do that. I'm just going to play the Elvish Mystic and tap the pod. I'm going to pay the extra mana here because I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to play the Wood Elves this turn. I think I'm going to play Dryad Arbor this turn instead. I'm going to go get Mesmeric Fiend. And I want to get some hand hate going just because I know you're just going to come down. And getting Mesmeric Fiend here because I got the 1-drop this turn, luckily off the top deck. I can pot in a Mesmeric Fiend here, isolate a card out of my opponent's hand, get me some information. Information is the more important thing that I'm going after because I'm planning to give that card back on my next turn. I expect that he's going to play Yidris on turn 4. I'll be able to pod Mesmeric Fiend into Fleshbag Marauder and remove Yidris from the battlefield. So I look at the hand and I decide that I'm going to take the 1 card that can actually kill Mesmeric Fiend here. Got a spicy hand. 3 removal spells, Bituminous Blast, Dismember, and Murderous Cut. But because they've only played a single fetch land, they have another fetch land, they would have to tap out instead of Yidris to kill Mesmeric Fiend. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other for me. So I decided to take the Dismember because they could play Dismember this turn and then play Yidris, and then I have no answer to Yidris if they choose to take that line. So I decided to take the Dismember here. And even though they're all removal spells, they can all kill Mesmeric Fiend, only one can kill it right now. And the other one requires all of my opponent's resources on their next turn, which is where I'm okay being. If they want to spend their entire turn removing Mesmeric Fiend, when I play Meren as my commander, who I can just land Meren. And you'll see, I forgot to play a land this turn, unfortunately. I could have played Dryad Arbor, and I just blanked. I was focused on the hand, just like I was just focused on talking about it. I forget to play a land. So one misplay right there. Chalk up one. They play the Forest, so I know about that. They fetched off into a Blood Crypt. And down comes Yidris. Fine by me. I have a plan. And right now my plan is do not let Yidris hit me ever. Because this hand is going to be spicy. And I can't afford to let him start cascading off this hand. Especially if you could cascade into use Bituminous Blast and get a double cascade ability off of 5. There's a lot of scary things that can come out of that. So I'm going to go for the Wood Elves. Because I have the untapped land, I play that first to play around Daze. Even though I could play Dryad Arbor this turn if I didn't. Now I just save myself 2 life by podding with the green mana. And pod that away, get the Flesh Bag, and I'm going to put Flesh Bag in the yard here. And I'm a little bit punished for putting the Flesh Bag in the yard. My opponent has the Wooded Foot Elves, we know about that, and plays Dak Fade In. Now if I had Flesh Bag in play instead of Wood Elves, I would have been immediately able to kill Dak this turn if they don't spend removal on the Flesh Bag. Now, granted, I am able to kill Wood Elves, kill it with Wood Elves anyway, but I do know about the Dismember that I gave my opponent back, which I'm expecting to go at Wood Elves because Dak is the way to cycle through some of this hand as well as make fuel for Murderous Cut. So they spend the Dismember and go down to 4 cards in hand. Now, this is what I was talking about early in the game, that Sadistic Hypnotist and Dryad Arbor is a target player discards 4 for 5 mana. And because they tapped out, I know 3 of the 4 cards in their hand. I'm just going to rip their whole hand apart here, even though it means giving up my land drop for another turn in a row. So I've missed effectively 2 land drops because I had to spend 1 land drop there to make them discard 2 cards. But they discard Consecrated Sphinx, which thank God I make them discard. I don't think I would have beaten Consecrated Sphinx. They would have at least gotten 2 cards off of it, then I would have to Yogg-Will back to Flesh Bag to deal with it, but then I'm not doing that trick to deal with Yidris. Consecrated Sphinx would have put me in a terrible situation. Furthermore, I also take them off of the ability to pod anything, so even though they've taken this off my field and denied me the value, they're not getting any value out of it either, so that's pretty beneficial to me. Got a Command Tower after dacking away Capture of Jing Zhao, and a land, Yidris. Alright, I'm locked into my turn now. So I'm going to start by Yogg-Will, replay a land, fetch out one of my last 2 swamps, and replay Flesh Bag. Even though it puts Flesh Bag into exile now, I can't let Yidris stick on the battlefield. And this buys me 2 turns to be able to find an answer, which is a little bit of time, thankfully. Dak again finds Botanical Sanctum. All right. Got it. He's using Dak to make the land drops to try to resolve Yidris, which I can respect. At this point, his best game plan is resolve Yidris and hit me with him. And hope he gets 1 spell on top 3 cards with Dak to be able to start the cascade. So here's where I make a misplay. So I play Reclamation Sage first to kill the pod. I have Regrowth, so I'm planning to regrowth this pod later in the game. Yes, and you'll see I tap black, black, 1, and white, and because this is a triggered ability, it is immediately put on the stack, and I can no longer right-click and undo my tap. And I would have been able to play Meren here and return Dryad Arbor to the battlefield for free. But I make a huge misplay, and I'm very open to being punished for this right now. It really depends on the top 3, but I am very high potential to be punished, because I would have been able to kill Dak this coming turn. My opponent plays Temporal Manipulation after decking into it, but they missed their land drop because of it. Dacks away 2 cards off the top, Nature's Lure and Abrupt Decay. And then just takes another turn. So basically all they got off that was Dak up 1 loyalty. Nothing else was gained, thankfully. get another land drop, but it is a tap land, and I'm so rewarded that it is a tap, that their only land out of all of that is a tap land, because that means Yidris doesn't come down this turn either. I still have one more turn before Yidris can attack. So I'm going to land off the top. I'm going to not misplay this time, play Meren. My opponent has no cards in hand, so I'm not afraid of anything. And I'm going to play Birds of Paradise, and I'm going to regrowth. Now I'm going to regrowth the birthing pod that I have this plan. Now, a lot of people would default put Dryad Arbor into play because you get value immediately putting a creature into play. But I know my opponent is on the Yidris next turn plan. I need an answer to Yidris. I have birthing pod, but I have no creature at 2. So despite my opponent most likely being empty-handed on my next turn, I'm going to use Meren of, I'm going to attack Dak down. I'm going to use Meren of Clan Nel Toth to pull back the Mesmeric Fiend to my hand. And this gives me that 2-drop into Merciless Executioner. And this makes me really happy that I added the secondary effect into the deck. It almost makes me want to play Slum Reaper at 4 just to have an additional CMC slot because of this pod. So I might have to look into playing Slum Reaper, which is the same effect as Fleshbag Marauder and Merciless Executioner. It's just a 4-mana creature. So Dak again finds a Spell Skite and plays this instead of Yidris. Fine by me. And I pick up the top deck of the Sentry here with Demonic Tutor. Man, what value. Alright, so I'm going to play Mesmeric Fiend. And I have a really cool line this turn that I think a lot of you can appreciate. Get nothing out of their hand. Play the pod. Pod away Mesmeric Fiend, paying life this entire time. Put triggers on the stack. I use my City of Brass for the thing that doesn't matter, thankfully. Not going to make that misplay again. I'm going to get Merciless Executioner. Now I decided to throw away the Bird of Paradise here because I want Executioner to stick around in the on the battlefield, so that way if my opponent has Graveyard Hate, I will still have Executioner loops to deal with Yidris. And that's my plan right now, to not lose to off the top Graveyard Hate. Now I'm only at 2 experience, so I can't bring back Executioner and sack something else away, so that's why I throw away the birds. I'm going to attack Dak out of the battlefield, make sure that I get to keep my pod around now, play the Demonic Tutor. Now what can I get? So I go through some lines in my head here. I get Condemnation, but there's no way. And then next turn, pod up to 3, pod the Executioner away. No, sorry, pod up to 3, experience 4 CMC, get the Mind Slicer. Mind Slicer doesn't do too much, but my whole plan is to move Mind Slicer into Acidic Slime and start destroying lands. And then I would most likely win the game. I could Demonic Tutor into Contamination for next turn and lock down my opponent's lands, but then they still have Yidris in play and they can cascade off a Black Spell or an Artifact, and that gets around the Contamination. I could DT for Buried Alive, but the answer is actually sitting right in front of me, I think. And I get the Phyrexian Tower here because I can play it immediately, and it gives me that instant speed sack outlet. So I sacrifice Reclamation Sage, put myself up to 3 experience, and this turn I bring back Wood Elves to give myself some additional ramp. And now I have a way to pod up to 4, keep Merciless Executioner in play until I absolutely need to. Hopefully my opponent will be empty-handed by then. And I can get Merciless, if Merciless Executioner, if I don't need the ability, I can pod up to 4, get the Mind Slicer, and then in draw step use Phyrexian Tower and put my opponent in the hand lock. And after that, the game will surely be over. So I get the sack outlet, and my opponent concedes. And I think the writing was on the wall at this point. When Dak left the battlefield, I don't think Boogeyman had a single way of coming back into this game. So the other reason I brought back the Wood Elves is that I'm at the sufficient mana to be able to recast Meren and immediately start getting more value off of her. And I wanted to be ensure for myself that I'm going to be able to play Meren multiple times over the course of this game. If they do have like Wrath off the top, that I'm still in decent shape. And being able to recur Wood Elves every turn when my opponent's doing that does put me in that sort of situation. Furthermore, what I'd be able to do this turn is if I pot up to 4, let's jump over to the collection, close that. Yeah, this is my first game of the day. Collection, Meren. We can get Oracle of Moldiah or Krovikan Horror and start getting the Survival of the Fittest effect by potting away or sacking away Krovikan Horror to deal damage, put another creature on top of it, recur something other than those two, and Krovikenhara comes back to my hand. So I could start increasing my board presence that way, and then I use Sadistic Hypnotist to keep their hand under lock if for some reason Boogeyman didn't play anything. So I think the game was well and truly over here, and I thought the DT line for the sack outlet, because I have the way to get the creature, is a pretty tech play. Despite my massive blundering misplay of City of Brass and the misplay of the land, so 2 turns that were nowhere near as effective as they could have been, I think I did play this game really well, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video to anyone you think might enjoy it. If you want to get notifications whenever I post new videos, hit that little bell icon and join the notification squad. I know a few people. Dennis Crenshaw is one of them. Likes to always get my notifications. So you can always see my videos right when they post, and you'll never miss an update. Let me know in the comments down below what misplays I made that I did not talk about, what you would like to see next. Are you enjoying the Meren videos? I certainly enjoy playing her. I hope you guys enjoy watching her as much. As always, the deck list for this video will be in the description down below. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a great one. See you next time.